My ex wants me to drive with her for 3 days and it's causing unnecessary stress. Okay, so my son and his mom are moving to TX to be closer to us, and plus California sucks right now. Well, my son came right after Xmas and he is enrolled in school here, so he is fine. His mom on the other hand is trying to convince me to fly to California and drive the truck of her stuff to Texas with her. I 100% refuse to do this, for numerous reasons. 1. COVID. 2. I do not want to be in a truck with her for 28 plus hours and staying the night at hotels. She and I have a good relationship considering, but I am out of my comfort zone. Granted, we will have separate rooms. My wife trusts me and is on the fence about it and is leaving it up to me. Well, I told my ex, while the drive may sound great, I rather do it with my son and not her. I just don't think it's appropriate, and if paying for the movers is too much, I will pay for it, but that is my stance. She went off about how I am looking too much into this and moving is $4,500 and it's a waste of money. I rather spend $4,500 and not have any eyebrows raised that I am spending days alone with my ex while my wife is at home with my son, daughter, mom, and is currently 7 months pregnant. It just doesn't sit well with me. Our son is hearing us discuss this while we are not fighting. It's stressing him out because he is concerned about his mom spending money and if everything is okay. I keep reassuring him and it's bringing down his anxiety, but he is still too relationship immature to understand the complexity of this situation. And #X200B. What's the best way to discuss this with her? Stand your ground. Her request is inappropriate. You're remarried. You don't need to feel guilty for not wanting to go on a road trip with your ex. Why can't she ask someone else to come with her? Holy manipulative shitballs. Your ex is absolutely manipulating you. Your current wife is a saint, and you should buy her a couple dozen roses to show your appreciation. In regards to helping your ex. Offer her 2 choices. You pay $4,500 to help her move to Texas. Or, she does it on her own, without your assistance. That's it. She chooses. I'd even go so far as having something drafted by your attorney stating what the money is for. I'd also negotiate you claiming your son on your taxes if you don't already do so. For what it's worth, I think you two are a saint, and please don't let her treat you like a doormat. The money is well spent to avoid this situation, and it sounds like your ex is trying to stir some shit up. She wants the exclusive access to you on the road trip. Expect some sort of manipulation to come. That's why she cares about you spending your money to help her. If she didn't want the time alone with you, she wouldn't care that you were spending $4,500. You offered to pay the $4,500, so she can't argue that it's a waste of money. If you didn't offer that, then I'd have a harsher thing to say. She really doesn't have a solid argument here, so I'd just really stress that you're not comfortable with this situation, and if doesn't take the money, then that's her fault. Hiring movers is not a waste of money. Between gas, 2 hotel rooms, plane tickets, and sheer number of hours spent in the car, it's 100% worth it to pay someone to drive the truck down. Then take into account the dangers of bad drivers, weather, the sore back and legs from the ride, the time spent away from your family. I would pay for it. I bet, if you look and shop around, you may be able to find it cheaper, especially if she loads and unloads the truck and all they have to do is drive. Why can't she drive herself? It's not like there's 2 vehicles and she needs another driver. She can take as long as she needs to drive and stop and sleep when she's tired. It's honestly not a big deal. She's acting helpless. You've been more than reasonable by offering to pay a moving company. This makes me extraordinarily glad that I never procreate with my ex. SMH, some people and the nerve of them. She sounds manipulative, maybe even narcissistic. But you're doing the right things. You offered her money and stuff. Why don't you tell her to offer a family member to drive with her, and you'll spend the few hundred for that person to fly back, or a friend or whatever. If something doesn't sit right with you, don't do it. End of discussion. As for your son, you said it yourself that he's very relationship immature and doesn't fully understand the complexity of your situation. I think you're doing the right thing to just keep reassuring him. I don't think there's anything you can really do to fully calm him down. Seeing your parents having issues is going to be rough on a kid, whether those parents are together or not. Just continue to be there for him as you resolve this with your ex. This sounds fishy, like she has an ulterior motive to be with you on this road trip. She either wants to rekindle something, ruin your relationship with your wife, or ask for something huge. There is no reason why you should be leaving your 7-month pregnant wife, especially when you offered to pay for moving expenses. The fact that she will not accept for your money for the movers raises a red flag. She may be a good person and a great mom, but something is up. You need to talk to her about the real reason why she won't accept the moving help. Your wife comes first. That's it. Your ex is your ex for a reason. Your duty as a husband is to be there for your wife, especially now. Tell your ex this, maybe with your wife in the room on speaker. What your ex is asking for is wildly inappropriate. Tell her she has 2 options. Either you drive the truck with your son, or she's on her own. Be firm that it is totally non-negotiable. I work as a professional and negotiate as part of my day-to-day duties. Here is how you get someone to believe you are serious on a take-it-or-leave-it offer. Give her your terms in writing. Email is fine, but texts aren't good for this. Including tell her that if she does not accept by X day, something in the not-too-distant future, that she's on her own, and that the offer is non-negotiable. Have one of her friends go with her. Fun girls trip, save on hotel as they can share a room and you can pay for the flight back to California. I have no advice, but you sound like a good man and a great dad. I hope it all works out for you in the end. Offer to help cover the cost of a friend's return flight home? She can bring along whomever she wants. Flights are cheap right now, it'll cost far less than movers. Of course, this is assuming she has a friend willing. Solid no, sounds like a plot for bad movie. Too many things could go wrong starting with COVID. Give her 3 choices. $4,500 for movers. She does it on her own, or she can give you 100% custody and she can stay with her family. It is inappropriate for her to insist on this, and by no means should you give in. I don't know what her motives are or if she truly just doesn't want to spend money, but there has to be another way. If she doesn't want to spend that much money, would she compromise doing a pod or U-box? They're smaller but significantly cheaper. I moved everything from my 1-bedroom apartment in CA to Maine for $2,300. That's substantially farther, so I imagine it would be cheaper in Texas. I did sell some of my bigger furniture, but that was something I accepted I'd have to do if I wanted to be cheap and move cross-country. Do not back down. You are 100% doing the right thing. How is this even an issue? You offered to pay for a move. That's your offer, period. Don't even entertain this other option BS. It's not another option. You're in the right here. She's demanding too much. Don't cave. An easier way to do it is have a moving company drop off a moving trailer. They are huge. You get several days to load, or just hire a team. They come in with all their dollies, and if you have everything ready, they are in and out super fast, and it's not that expensive. You call the moving company and say it's ready, and a driver picks up the trailer and drips it off at your new house. Super easy. A woman can easily do it all by herself this way, and it's not too expensive. She can drive her car to Texas. When she has the trailer unloaded, you call them back and they pick it back up. Maybe you and your son could just help her unload the furniture or something like that. Leave her there. We don't need any more people from California trying to ruin our great state. No, I'm sorry, that won't be possible. Repeat as necessary. You offer to pay it outright, so there is zero argument she can make about it being a financial issue. Therefore, the only other reason she has a problem is she has an ulterior motive. Flat out ask, and unless the reasoning is a sound one, say nope, not doing it. End of discussion. Pay for the movers, my dude. We moved from Iowa to Tennessee and got one of those trailers that they deliver to you. It wasn't any more expensive than driving a U-Haul ourselves. She needs to deal with that by herself. Sorry, but you are completely correct with refusing, and you need to stay firm on it. Let your son know that everything is all right, nothing is wrong with either you or his mom, that it's an adult issue you will explain when he gets older if he asks what kind of issue is going on, and that he doesn't need your worry since dad will handle everything. Your wife is pregnant, and I am assuming that she is being as calm as possible, but probably doesn't want you to go at all, whatsoever. UBM made the choice to move, so she needs to handle it by herself. Your only concern was your child. Nothing else needs your attention. No is a complete answer. You don't need to argue the point. Give her what options are on offer. 1. You pay for movers. Actually, we just moved from California and we used pods to transport our stuff. It took a few days longer, but it was a crap ton cheaper. U-Haul in California is really price gouging its customers right now due to the mass of people fleeing the state. 2. You drive with your son. 3. She drives the truck herself. Tell her to pick one of those, as those are the only options on offer. Honestly, given that your wife is 7 months pregnant, I wouldn't leave her at all. Spend the money for movers. This will take a lot off the ex too. This is a shot in the dark, but does your ex have a history of alcohol or drug abuse? This isn't intended to be offensive in any way, but it might explain why she isn't asking for help from her family, and is moving somewhere new for maybe a fresh start, and maybe someone to look after your son in case of relapse. And maybe having you help move her things would be her way of telling you about it without having to say it directly. Again, I could be totally wrong, but that's just what first came to my mind when I read through the comments. Either way, I am so sorry you're dealing with this. My heart goes out to you, your wife, your son, and your ex. This seems like a really tough situation you all have to go through. If she's coming down anyway, why does anybody else need to come? I'm confused. Stick to your guns. Even if nothing happens between you and your ex, you have no control over what she tells people. It's best to not even open that can of worms. You are being more than generous by offering to pay for it. You don't even owe that to her. Remember, it's not enough to not cheat. You should never put yourself in position where it could be questioned. P.S. COVID is a cop-out. You shouldn't do it even if COVID never existed. In what bizarre world does the ex live in where she can make demands? I just want to add, I'm from Oregon and I flew from Austin back to Oregon and drove my boyfriend's old, giant, extended cab, extended bed, no running board, F-350 truck full of stuff in November by myself and was totally fine. I barely knew how to pump my own gas, much less find places that had diesel. She's being a baby and trying to get you to do what she wants. It took me 3-ish days, didn't stay in hotels, and was 100% fine. She can grow up. You stay home with the kids, and send your current wife in your place. Have her film the entire awkward experience and report back. A straight-up, no, is a totally valid response to any request. No matter what the circumstances, one should never have to justify or explain oneself. No, is, no. You're both grown-ups. She can act like one and deal with it. It's just plain wrong to try to berate someone into doing a favor for you once they've been told, no. She asked. You declined. End of story. Morning glory. Why should you have to put yourself at risk and drive her when she could just rent a car and drive herself? That's not reasonable. Just because you guys share your child and are peaceful in that way doesn't mean you need to be best friends, and she isn't in a position to ask this if you. What is causing California to suck right now? What's the best way to discuss this with her? There is no discussion. You tell her. Being away from my pregnant wife for days plus having to quarantine myself for 14 days afterwards is crossing boundaries. I'm not comfortable with it and I won't be doing it. First of all, I have immense respect for you. You seem like a great person, husband, father. Secondly, COVID plus heavily pregnant wife equals absolutely no road trip. Point blank period. No contest to that. It not only puts you at risk, but also your assumed elderly mother, your children and your pregnant wife. Who in their right mind would ask someone to road trip when their home is full of potentially at-risk persons? Stop stressing over this. It isn't yours to stress over. You generously offered her the money to cover the move. Tell her that's the offer, she can take it or leave it. It really is that simple. I just read you replies to comments. You sound like a very reasonable and thoughtful person, even though you are uncomfortable with your ex's proposal, yet you aren't saying anything disrespectful or bad things against her. Now here, your wife is pregnant, you can't put her in risk with COVID. Just tell her you don't want to take that risk. As you've offered alternative for her, she shouldn't be complaining. Texting 15 times about this topic sounds too pushy. You can offer her your friend family drive. If still pushing you, just ask her if she wants to talk about other stuff. Nope. Tell her no, 'cause she gonna ask more and more. Some women, that I even know, only want children from one father. Together or not. No is a complete sentence. She is your ex, your only responsibility to her is your son. If you can afford it, then it's either you drive with your son, or you'll pay for the move. The $4,500 is worth the peace of mind to not cause problems in your own house. Good for you for being firm on not wanting to go. Not sure how long you've been married to your wife, but my guess is your ex may want to reconcile. You'd be surprised. Had a similar situation where my SO's ex tried her best to get him to dump me a week before our wedding. We were both 100% sure she moved on before that point. Tell her straight up, my man. Ask her to fly up and take your wife and son. Tell her it's the only way or she goes solo. Why does she have to be there alone with you? Don't trust and don't believe. 16 divorced with XW and we still talk, and once in a while she drops a shitbag on the doorstep I call my life. You and your son's mother were together less than a month. Sure hope sometime in the last 13 years you obtained a paternity test.